Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. It is time, once again, for Ugly Watch Wednesday. I have a whole lineup of watches that, just weird design choices and really weird bezels. So let us begin. The first watch on my list is a Boliva that I found on eBay, and this watch looks like it was dug up from the ground, or dredged up from a shipwreck. Wait, this is a Boliva? I thought it was a fossil. This bezel has definite sundial vibes. I actually like the crystal, the dial, and the hands on this piece. Just too bad somebody buried the watch in the ground for a few decades. And ugh, those stretchy bracelets, am I right? On the upside with this watch, the crystal is cracked and it doesn't work. So, a couple bonuses there. This is an auction listing, and at the time of this recording, the bidding is at $55. This watch looks absolutely massive, but it's only 31 millimeters. So it is definitely for the bold. The next watch on my list is a Zodiac that I found on eBay, and this watch actually looks brilliant. It's an amazing looking watch, so why is it on my Ugly Watch Wednesday video? That date window. I mean, it's a decent looking date window, but it completely ruins the dial design. Those bold triangles and the vintage font on the indices inside of them, that is the whole aesthetic of this watch. And you removed one and put a date window there. Why? I just don't understand. You don't have to put date windows on every watch. I know that it's probably a divisive opinion, but I just don't feel like we need date windows in watches. We have things called calendars, and we have phones in our pockets. I mean, how often do you really need to reference the date? And when you do, how often are you in a place where there's no one around to ask? Or no calendars around to look at? Or no phones? Even before we were all carrying phones, you could wake up and look at your calendar and just remember the date for the rest of the day. I guess if you're out at sea or stuck in a cave or something, might be handy. Otherwise, I just don't understand. Especially when it ruins your dial's design. So sad. This could have been a brilliant watch. At the time of this recording, it's an active auction, and the bidding is up around $700. The next watch on my list comes from Wristwatch Review, and it's a watch by Corum. And this watch has sort of a Nautilus-inspired case, at least on the sides, but it's so strangely executed. I mean, that strap looks like it was stapled onto the case, and that it's about to just kind of fall off. It looks precarious. And those Nautilus elements are so wide and big, it almost makes the watch look like it has wings. And Velcro. This watch is a one-off, but part of the marketing is how it's environmentally friendly because it has recycled materials used in it. But it's a one-off. That's weird. This one watch is saving the world, alone, by itself. This watch is Captain Planet. I mean, it is so weird. It's the same kind of logic like if you go into a grocery store, you're in a building that is wall-to-wall plastic packaging, plastic items, plastic everything, but it's the one or two plastic bags you put your groceries in at the end that are destroying the world? Yeah, so this watch is weird looking, and the good that it's doing in the world is dubious. I feel like watches really aren't that destructive to the planet. They're items that are made and usually kept around for a long, long time. When people do get rid of them, they end up in second-hand stores or antique malls, not so much landfills. And even their boxes, which I personally love creative watch boxes that they ship in. Most collectors keep those around too. All of my boxes are sitting in my closet. They are not in landfills or ruining the planet. I feel like watches are pretty green, actually. Next up, we have a Bullhead Seiko that I found on eBay. And yes, it's a Bullhead watch, but dang, this watch is thick. I mean, if you like them thick, but yeah. The crystal on this watch has definitely lived a life. I do like the crazy vertical day-date window on this. That's pretty cool. Super clever. Actually, the dial itself is pretty neat. But it does kind of remind me of Vincent from The Black Hole. I am not going to be able to unsee that now. It's a big beast also at 43 millimeters, so it's big and thick. At the time of this recording, it's still an active auction, and the bidding is around $250. Next up, we have another watch that I found on eBay. This one is the Croton Ultra Busy, or whatever its actual reference is. If overly busy dials were a complication, this one has one of those. It's just way too much. There are 4 subdials, large whimsical font indices, a way overbearing guilloche pattern on the dial, a narcissistic minutes track, 3 pushers, and a crown. I mean, it's so busy they had to give up the 12 o'clock to squeeze the brand name in there. This is a whole watch line in one watch. Seriously, Croton could have made an entire line of brilliant watches, but instead, they clicked Layers Merge All. They hit Select All in their music folder and hit Enter so every song started playing at once. They turned on their TV, YouTube on their phone, and told Alexa to play something. Then invited their motormouth aunt to come over. I mean, they made a platypus watch. It's like they planted an entire garden within 1 square foot. I feel like they made an Aphex Twin watch. If a Disney park ride line was a watch, this would be it. It's not busy, it's inclusive. I found another Croton on eBay, so they're still at it. This is the Holy Bezel reference. So yes, Croton is a repeat offender. I feel like that bezel takes up as much real estate as the dial itself. I realize that dive watch enthusiasts love to play with bezels, but is it really that important of a feature to give it this much emphasis? I kind of like day-date complications even though I'm not a date window fan, but what in the world were they doing in this watch? Why would you take a complication that has a horizontal tendency to it because it's wide and not so tall, and then put it at the 4 o'clock? That looks so weird, having a day date at an angle like that. It just looks bad. I mean, the dial itself looks okay if they didn't include that. This is a super chunky watch, and that bezel makes it look even more chunky. And I'm really not a fan of branding on the sides of cases. I mean, isn't it enough to have your brand on the dial itself? So weird. I've seen a couple watches that have text on the side of the case, and that was actually kind of cool looking. I forget what the data was, but it looked data-ish and kind of cool. Kind of like putting coordinates on the side of the case, but even that's kind of weird. But it's better than a brand name. And the last watch on my list, speaking of fossil, is a fossil that I found on eBay. The dial on this watch is super elegant and looks absolutely amazing. The bezel that surrounds it is the exact opposite. That is ugly. I mean, those roundy, blobby notches on it? No. It's like putting Don Draper in a Michael Bay movie. Did they hire an actual watchmaker to design the dial and then hire 6ix9ine to design the bezel? It's like a Nomos Invicta collaboration, or a vintage Universal Genève/Diesel collaboration. And look at those lugs. Those are baby hands. So there you have it, a parade of pretty terrible looking watches. Thanks for watching.
you.